Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today on Keep Calm and Learn How to Cope with Stress. My name is Carolina Gaviria. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, a national certified counselor, and a certified eating disorder specialist. I'm a psychotherapist in private practice. I work with Dr. Lisette Cortez, Dr. Brittany Jardine, and registered dietitian specialized in eating disorders, Yaneth Beltran. We are part of the Home for Balance team. We have practice in Coconut Creek, and we provide services for eating disorders, OCD, trauma, grief and loss, depression, and anxiety. I also personally have a practice in the Fort Lauderdale area, and we all are also providing at this time teletherapy. You hear an accent because I'm from Colombia. Actually, Dr. Cortez, Yaneth Beltran, and I are all from Colombia, and we provide services also in Spanish. So today we're going to be talking about how to keep calm during these difficult times. The objectives of this presentation are defining stress and the stress response, being able to identify your personal stress symptoms, understand how your own thoughts and actions can contribute to stress, and being able to manage stress more effectively through self-care. This is part of our theme for the month, how to cope with stress and learning, different new ways to cope more effectively during this time of COVID-19. So we're going to start by talking a little bit more about the stress, stress in general and the stress response. So what is a stress? A stress is our natural response to a stressor. We biologically are equipped to respond to perceived threats in an automatic way. This is what we called the fight or flight response. Unfortunately, our innate stress response is not always able to distinguish between a life-threatening event, such as confronting a dangerous animal, or a threat that we perceive is attacking our, self-esteem, just, such as being criticized by a teacher or a parent or a colleague. During a stressful event, the brain signals the release of stress hormones. These chemical substances trigger a series of responses that gives the body extra energy to act. In this act part, it can be reacting or responding. Usually when we are faced with stress, we are charged with this energy that makes us react pretty fast. So what does this mean? Your blood sugar levels rise, your heartbeat speeds up, and blood pressure increases. Your muscles tense for action, and the blood supply is sent to the extremities to get your body ready to act. A stressor in an event that creates tends to create a reaction in us. It can be an external event such as conflict with another person, or being stuck in traffic when we are already late. Or it can come from an internal event such as being ill or fatigued. Not all the stressors are necessarily bad. Many events or stressors that are perceived as neutral or positive can also cause stress. How we respond to stressors varies from person to person. So two people might be experiencing the same event and have different stress responses. So what is an stressor? Let's see. The stress or negative stress can be the loss of a loved one, financial problems, losing a job. Right now, going through the pandemic can be a pretty, intense type of stress, especially if you are worried about, your parents and other older adults in your family, if you have underlying conditions such as asthma or allergies that can be, or you're dealing with another type of illness, such as cancer, that might, put your immune system, at risk, and then you can be more vulnerable to get, the COVID-19 virus right now. So stress can be connected to also things that might be going on in your environment, such as noise. Right now that we have to, a lot of people are working from home, and they might not have the space, to hold maybe meetings and do work without, having the kids being around. Before, when, people were homeschooling their kids and trying to balance, working from home and at the same time trying to meet deadlines, having constant interruptions, two parents and the kids having to share the space, or having these internal expectations that things should go a certain way. It should be easier for me. I should be dealing with this in a different way. All those internal stressors can contribute to a very intense type of stress response. Positive stress can also be cause internal distress, such as, a graduation, getting a promotion, getting married, maybe having children. Sometimes, even going on a vacation can create a stress. So right now, a lot of the stress might be connected to losing also some of these, positive things that you were looking forward to. The way we perceive the event will determine the type of stress response that we experience. Our beliefs, previous life circumstances, and cumulative stress also will influence our perception and levels of stress and distress. Because in our minds, because it's our minds that create, stress, we do have some control over it. What are some of the symptoms of stress? We can have physical, emotional, and cognitive responses to stressors. It is the number and severity of stress responses that determine our ability to cope effectively when confronted with stressors. What does this mean? Being able to recognize when we are stressed and identify those events that are creating the stress for us can give us an opportunity to make changes in the situation and respond differently to the event. What does this mean? When I'm able to acknowledge what can I control and what I can't control in a situation, that is going to help me cope also more effectively. Let's say, for example, right now, I can't control the spread of the COVID-19, but I can control if I wear a mask, if I leave my house, when I leave my house, how I'm equipped to leave my house. If I'm, wearing a mask, maybe wearing gloves, maybe going to the store in the morning where, when there are less people, if I'm able to negotiate with my workplace so I can work from home. Some of the physical symptoms that can include, that can give us, that we can get, when we have stress, can be muscle tension, headaches, trembling, dry mouth, racing heart, rapid beating of the heart, diarrhea, stomach pains and cramps, nervous stomach, kind of like having this nausea, sleeping difficulties, fatigue, changes in appetite, chest pains, increased alcohol and other substances, smoking, and even chronic illness. Some of the emotional symptoms include anxiety, feeling overwhelmed, irritated, frustrated, angry, fragility, tearfulness, lack of motivation, numbness, and emotional withdrawal. Some of the cognitive symptoms or mental symptoms include difficulties concentrating, negative thoughts, catastrophic thinking, obsessive thoughts, intrusive thoughts, memory impairment, and confusion. What can contribute to stress? Right now, that we have a lot going on, right? We need to address these from different perspectives. So one is the way we think. Stressful thinking tends to increase levels of stress, and it's influenced by beliefs that ultimately lead to ineffective behaviors. Let's say, for example, you think that you should be treated a certain way at work. That's a belief, right? And you are not treated that way, which becomes very upsetting to you. What is the stressful thinking in this case? It's unfair, they shouldn't be treating me differently, they shouldn't have more considerations for me, I have underlying conditions, I should have stayed at home. This can make, my stress response go higher and lead to maybe even sometimes ineffective behaviors. I can become passive aggressive, sometimes, complaining, venting, and sometimes even cause self-defeating thoughts, right? That can even add more to my already sense of stress. Other stressful behaviors and thoughts, or thinking patterns can be worrying about situations that I can't really control. Failing to see choices or having a tunnel vision about a situation. Being a professional procrastinator. Expecting perfection of myself and other people. Restricting or resisting change through an inflexibility and rigidity. Turning all situations into competitions where someone has to win and someone has to lose. And sometimes getting stuck in the I have to be right. I'm right. I have to prove people that I'm right. I have the better, answer or option or solution. It has to be my way. Focusing on faults rather than strengths. Sometimes, we become very self-critical and tend to sometimes even magnify, some of the things that are going wrong. Failing to set limits or say no, taking on a lot of responsibility. Taking poor care of yourself, not getting enough sleep, or having poor eating habits, meaning snacking all day, not having, set meals or nutrition, or nutritious meals, right? Stopping exercise, not getting any time outside in nature, drinking, smoking when I'm feeling stressed. And expecting sometimes all my problems to be neatly resolved. So not allowing, space, for mistakes, failure, not being right, things that can, contribute to stress. And sometimes avoidance of dealing. I want to avoid conflict. I don't want to deal with this. So sometimes that type of denial also can increase my sense of stress. Stress becomes concerning when we start to experience symptoms of depression and anxiety. Some of the symptoms of, of depression may include changes in your mood, such as lack of interest in things that you used to enjoy, apathy, general discontent, guilt, hopelessness, loss of interest or on things that, before you used to enjoy, or getting pleasure out of activities that you're doing, mood swings or sadness. There is excessive crying, irritability, sometimes crying spells, not really even knowing why you're crying, sometimes feeling very, irritated, getting mad about, little things that before maybe, didn't really upset you. or becoming more socially isolated. Now that a lot of people are, wearing quarantine, and even now continue to have some social distance, or why not, they're feeling isolated. We still have, computers, and some people are feeling Zoom fatigue, uh, but I really encourage you to continue reaching out. When we become socially isolated, that's when, depression can take a toll. Sometimes we feel like our whole bodies seems to be different. You experience excessive hunger or lack of hunger, fatigue, loss of appetite, restlessness. You can't concentrate, and there is slowness in activity. You kind of like even sometimes feel hopeless, helpless, and you might, even have thoughts of suicide. Some people experience weight gain or weight loss when they have depression. Anxiety is sometimes defined by hypervigilance or irritability. Depression usually goes hand in hand with anxiety. Some people experience anxiety as racing thoughts or unwanted thoughts, overthinking, excessive worry, fear, feeling of impending doom, catastrophic thinking, worst case scenarios, feeling that they can't really get a restful night of sleep, like they have a hard time falling asleep, staying asleep, um, struggling with insomnia, nausea, palpitations, poor concentration, trembling. Some people feel dizzy when they feel anxious. You are coping in unhealthy ways with depression and anxiety when you start to notice that you're relying on maybe food as your only coping mechanism, alcohol, using substances to numb feelings or to get any pleasurable or positive feeling going. So you know that maybe at that time you need to request or reach out for professional help. You can also maybe are feeling overwhelmed, with everything that's happening, or you feel I have everything and still I can't seem to be able to be fully present and enjoy the moment. I'm feeling this sense of stress, kind of like feeling weighed down. So what are some strategies to manage stress? And I think that right now, you probably have heard tons of different types of ideas on how to manage stress. Stress needs to be addressed in different ways. I think that we need to talk about the mind-body type of relationship that we have, and we need to address stress from mind, body, and spirit. So let's talk a little bit about the mind body. Exercise can help relieve stress. It can make your bones and muscles feel stronger. It can help with just mindful movement, to kind of like move around some of this energy of anxiety and depression. So improving your mental health, and also sometimes being just part of your daily routine, giving you something else to think about. So when we also talk about stress, we need to talk about how you are managing your time. Organizational strategies can really help decrease some of that sense of lack of control. So sometimes when we feel out of control, we feel more stressed out. So knowing what we can control and what we can't is also a good way of managing the stress, and focusing on the things that we can control, like organizing our day. So maybe creating a to-do list, setting priorities, and revising, your list as needed. Restricting phone calls to have, downtime, and maybe having, set times to check, your schedule or your voicemail, working, having, even if you're working from home, having a schedule to, determine the hours that you're going to be doing work and the hours that you're going to be having meals, maybe exercising, maybe having, for me, it has been really healing to take a walk, maybe sometimes early in the morning or late at night when it's not too hot, and still, get some fresh air, and movement, going. Uh, Having clear deadlines, if you're working from home or you're going to the office, having clear deadlines on when do you want to accomplish, certain tasks, um, and having clear objectives and steps to get, to meet those deadlines. Taking responsibility, avoiding procrastination, not blaming other people or falling into the should trap, things should be different, things are just the way they are, right? And I know that the current situation is creating a lot of stress for everyone. Uh, Balancing things, balancing even the news that, we're hearing can be, a challenge right now. But we need to face reality and accept reality as it is in order to be able to change it. And, create more life balance. So let's dive deeper into what life balance can be. So when we talk about life balance, we need to monitor our work, rest, and recreation. Take a look, take a self-inventory and see, am I spending enough time with family and friends? I know that right now this might be, challenging, but I'm doing some Zoom meetings with my family, with friends. We are calling each other, checking in. I have, people in different countries, kind of like, okay, what are you guys doing there? Even, they have given me some ideas on, how to entertain, my children, or how to do more self-care practices. So I want to take a self-inventory also on how many hours am I working, and are my kids spending, on schoolwork, or, computer activities? Am I having enough quiet time? Am I taking, my medications or vitamins? Am I having some fun, right, at home? Am I spending time, with family? Maybe we can play a board game. Maybe we can spend some time, by the pool or barbecue. Are we maybe even including some fun, laughter, humor during this time? Am I really spending some time, cooking, preparing balanced meals, keeping a diet that is, balanced, that includes, fats, carbs, vegetables, dairy, fruits. Am I managing my weight? Is my weight becoming a source of concern because I'm overeating or undereating? Am I exercising too much, or am I not exercising? Am I sleeping too much? Am I not sleeping? Am I taking drugs, alcohol, too much caffeine that can be contributing to my stress? How is my health right now? So when I take a self-inventory and I pay attention to these different areas, I'm going to be, increasingly becoming more aware of the changes that I need to make. Sometimes the changes include exploring new hobbies, or making requests, asking family to help out, maybe at home, maybe colleagues to help out at work. Maybe I need to start saying no to, different things, setting boundaries with other people, especially now. Sometimes, people are venting, and am I in a place where, I want to hear all this venting, or do I need to set boundaries and, maybe stay away from, people who might be very negative, or encouraging them to find, maybe a therapist so they can unload all their burdens on them. So I want to make sure that um, I'm keeping all these areas in balance. And balance, just to be more specific, it doesn't necessarily have to be having everything leveled up all the time. It means sometimes this is here, but they're always shifting and changing. And for the most part, in average, then maintain, this type of relationship, being at balance, okay? So let's go deeper into this, balance idea. This is a visual image of a balanced life. Am I giving enough time and attention to all these different areas? And again, it doesn't have to be perfectly the same time and energy. Sometimes I do need to give more attention to, my work, or sometimes I need to decrease my work and give more attention to my purpose, my spirituality, my relationships. Maybe I need to give more attention right now to my health. So I need to be aware and pay attention to where each area is, and maybe the changes that I need to make to keep all of these areas in balance. What are some helpful resources? For those people who might be struggling right now with a lot of depression, anxiety, they might be perhaps feeling that stress is really taking a toll on them. I highly encourage them to seek out professional help. Help is available. We are providing services online. There are many places that also provide, services, sometimes even for free. If you're experiencing, distress to the point that you're having suicidal ideation, I encourage you to call the 1-800 suicide line and prevention hotlines, Henderson Crisis Unit. Sometimes if you're in college, the counseling center at your college might provide psychological services, and the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. For more information about our services, please call us at, Home for Balance. Our website is www.homeforbalance.com. I thank you for your attention, and I hope everybody stays safe, healthy, and sane during these very challenging times. Take care.